All right, we are back. And today, the reflection within the Daily Vedantic is on the problem. If there is a meta problem, which would be a hip way of saying it today, or an underlying problem, a common thread between any discipline, any religion, any philosophy, the common thread is essentially how do we avoid self-sabotage? It's essentially controlling what we can control to not sabotage ourselves. And what is the way that we sabotage ourselves according to Vedanta? It is through attachment. In fact, I remember chatting with Swami about one of his books, one of my favorite books of his, The Holocaust of Attachment. And I said, what made you write this book last? And he told me he had written so many books about the solutions to the problem, but he had not spent time writing a book and writing extensively on the problem itself. So why is attachment such a problem? Well, attachment is our binding to something in the world, something that Vedanta would say is impermanent. And when you bind to something that is impermanent, then you are bound to that impermanence, whether that is bound to some goal you have in your career where you are attached to making partner. You're bound to that. You are not free. You're attached to having a child. You are bound to that. You are not free. You are attached to finding a spouse, attached to being well-liked, attached to wealth, attached to enjoyment, attached to belonging. All of these attachments that we might have, so much of our reality comes down to what we give our attention to. That attachment, that binding of our attention to something that may be out of our control, but certainly is in this impermanent world, means that we are bound to that impermanence. And anything I just named, wealth, enjoyment, the joy of having a child, all the way to a career goal and milestone that you set out on. Whatever that is, whatever enjoyment you get out of that will be impermanent. There is no cup of ice cream that will give you permanent joy. There is no car, and there is no career milestone. So to bind ourselves to something impermanent, like I said, is to remove ourselves from the freedom to be unbound. A mentor of mine in the startup realm, Naval Ravikant, has a great phrase where he said that desire is a contract with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want. We think of desires as things that will bring us happiness. That phrase hits home because so much of our entanglement with a desire is the unhappiness that leads up to it. We think we're happy when we get that desire. But the truth is, Vedanta tells us we are only happy when there's the cessation of that desire. In other words, it's not the thing, it's not the milestone, it's not the moment that is bringing us happiness because we got what we desired. It is the cessation, the moment in which that desire ceased, that brought us happiness. So what do we actually crave? It's freedom. Liberation from that desire or any desire. And every time we put our thoughts towards something or some achievement, we become bound. We become attached. And we are not happy until that desire ceases and until we are free. That is the problem. The 10,000 things we are attached to, we are bound to, are the 10,000 things that stand in the way of us being free. That is the problem. Many of the reflections in the Daily Vedantic will be about the solutions to the problem. But having a foundational understanding of what the problem is is invaluable. And as Swami always says, to have a disease is bad enough. To not know you have the disease is fatal. I hope you enjoyed today's reflection, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Daily Vedantic.